This is East Midlands Today with Dominic Heel and me, Anne Davis.
Our top story tonight, the Queen's speech gets a could do better from business leaders.
Critics here say the government's plans won't open the door to a recovery.
There's no real new stimulus for growth, which I think we were all hoping for.
Also tonight, osteoarthritis, why one charity thinks the number of cases will double.
Plus, I'm learning about why this topsy-turvy weather is making life less than sweet for the honeybee.
And boxing clever. I'm in a company which says since it started selling these, the phones haven't stopped ringing. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Wednesday's programme. Well, it was supposed to kickstart a political and economic revival. But tonight, the coalition government's proposed new legislation has been criticised by this region's leading business organisation.
The measures announced in the Queen's speech were disappointing, according to the Derbyshire and Nottinghamshire Chamber of Commerce. It also described the government's proposals as a missed opportunity.
Well, our political editor John Hess has been at Westminster today for the Queen's speech, and he joins us now from outside Parliament. Good evening, John.
Hello, Anne and Dominic. You know, these are tough words from business leaders in the East Midlands, a region where David Cameron hopes that economic recovery will coincide with a political revival in the fortunes of the Conservatives in the polls. And there were 15 new bills that were announced by the government today, but the Derbyshire and Nottinghamshire Chamber of Commerce basically believe that that really isn't enough, and I quote them here. They say that the government should have gone much further to put economic growth at the heart of its agenda. So what do our businesses want from this government in terms of those economic measures? Well, James Robertson has been to an engineering factory in northwest Leicestershire.
At Paul Fabrications in Castle Donington, they know all about the ups and downs of the economy. They've been riding it since their founding in 1937. Latterly, though, life's been good to them, with successful contracts with Rolls-Royce Aerospace and in fabrications for the nuclear industry. The Queen's speech today talked about reform of the employment tribunal system, which the government claims should encourage firms to take on more young people.
I think it's more important to get the correct selection procedure in place and the correct procedures to assess staff when they join you. I believe that the current situation is more than adequate for a good employer.
And what are plans to reform the banking system, reforms which may help businesses get vital credit so they can expand?
I think it's very important for any business, as is putting together a robust structure to allow the banks to have the confidence in lending that money to business.
But one East Midlands business leader visiting the firm today thinks proposed banking reform is welcome,
but there really isn't anything in that we can see at the moment which is actually going to lead to more bank lending, and still many companies are finding it very difficult to find finance they need to expand.
At Paul Fabrications, they're continually looking to the future and expansion. They've taken on 3 apprentices this year, but know that to support them and the rest of the staff, having support to look for new markets in Europe and beyond is probably the only way to guarantee another 70 years of existence. James Robertson, East Midlands Today, Leicestershire.
Well, East Midlands MPs are tonight debating the impact of the coalition's proposed legislative programme, and amid all the splendour and ceremony of the state opening of the new parliamentary session and the Queen's speech, there's now the raw politics of whether the new measures will actually help any economic recovery, especially in the East Midlands. Nicky Morgan, let me come to you first. Is the Chamber of Commerce right here? Are these measures a missed opportunity?
Well, I think it's partly about misunderstanding what the Queen's speech is about, and obviously that's about the legislative programme. Last month's, or March's budget was very much about supporting business and jobs and growth, but the Queen's speech, in her second line, she said, my government's priority is to cut the deficit and to restore economic stability. But actually businesses don't need lots more legislation. What they need is the things we've put in place so far, we need them implemented.
OK, well, John Ashworth, what was missing?
Well, I would like to have seen measures today to help hard-pressed families who are seeing their incomes squeezed, measures to help our young people across the East Midlands who are struggling to find work, and proper measures to boost our economy, get growth back into the system and get us out of this recession. None of that was in the Queen's speech today.
Is that what a Queen's speech is for, or as Nicky Morgan has implied, that's something you normally get from a budget?
Well, the budget completely failed on all three of those. In fact, the budget gave millionaires a £40,000 tax cut. Today was an opportunity for David Cameron to put that right, and he should have come forward with some measures to get us out of the recession and help families in the East Midlands.
Nicky Morgan, many small and medium-sized businesses, what they want to hear is that the banks are going to start lending again so they can expand what was in the measures today that might stimulate that.
Well, one of the things we are doing is obviously implementing the report, the Vickers report on banking, so splitting sort of high street lending, which is the business lending that banks, or the businesses want from banks, from the sort of casino-style investment banking, and making sure that banks are going to hold more capital. But there is more to be done, of course, about...
More to be done?
Absolutely, more to be done in encouraging banks to start lending, looking at the reasons why they're not lending at the moment, looking at other ways, perhaps an overdraft isn't the right thing for business, perhaps equity finance is. So there is more to be done on that.
Okay, let me come to you, John Ashworth. I mean, the Chamber of Commerce says that the Coalition's proposals for shared parental leave is fraught with complications and an unnecessary burden on businesses. Now, is it right?
Well, I certainly accept they're probably complicated, but I think it's a good thing. A good thing that mums and dads are given an opportunity to balance work and family life. Now, we'll have to look at the details of the bill and how it impacts on businesses, but in principle, it's a good thing, but we'll scrutinise that bill very carefully.
All right, John Ashworth and Nicky Morgan, thank you very much indeed. And the debate continues over the next few days, but in Downing Street, it'll be the reaction in constituencies like Loughborough and Leicester South that'll count.
That'll be interesting. John, thanks.